I don't know why everybody's doing this, you know what I mean? I'm just happy that the team's doing well. I'm not getting carried away.
Are you going to win the league?
No. I just want us to...
Are you going to challenge?
You know what it is? Just want a performance.
Me and Owen are going off to read the papers.
All it is that you just want... You know something? It's a perfect start. They had a really good pre-season and they had some games which could have been very tricky, like it was last season, but obviously the new signings have helped. But the mentality of the team has totally changed. Going into the Palace game, first game of the season, could have been a tough one. But in the end, they came through that, you know, and they've won the first 3 games. And it's just exciting because there's a lot of work that's gone on behind the scenes for Arsenal to get them to this point. And I don't think it's a bad thing for Arsenal fans to feel good about what's going on at the moment, but without getting carried away. It's fantastic.
If we don't police excitement, we're all for being positive around here.
Nice. Everybody knows, you know, everybody knows how happy I am when it's going well because we've had a few years where it's not. You have to sit there listening to people talking about mentality and owners and recruitment and all sorts of stuff, and they seem to be getting it right, and it's gelling at the moment, but it's 3 games in. It's 3 games.
But you also mentioned mentality. That's what Aaron Ramsdale was talking about. He said it's been a huge transformation on that side of things. I just wonder, because we were talking about Casemiro coming into Man United and what that can bring, not just in footballing terms, but in terms of his personality and how much he drives other players on. And they've done that with 2 multiple title winners in Zinchenko and Jesus at Arsenal. And I wonder how much of an impact that has had. Well, the thing is, it's the mentality of the manager as well. And then he's brought in players in his kind of image in respects of the focus of these players and the meticulous way in how hard they train and the fact that they are multiple winners. That is going to change any dressing room, especially a dressing room like Arsenal's, which got young players in it, are very impressionable. You want to have someone like Jesus and look how he plays, look at Zinchenko, how he plays, how they prepare, what they're doing. You know, we know with Mikel how intense he is about everything, and like I've mentioned, meticulous with the preparation. I watched them in the pre-season, and they were working on stuff what I saw in the Bournemouth game, in the pressing. And if you sit off them, they're going to hurt you. So, it's at the moment, you know, it's very, very exciting. But like I say, it's very early. But like, there's a lot going on there that's I'm really happy to see. Yeah, there's a lot for Arsenal fans to enjoy at the moment, and it comes back to the point that you were making earlier, Darren, which I cannot for the life of me remember what I was going to say. No, it comes back to the point that you were making about Arsenal, about that kind of the sort of flakiness that was there, that when you look at them now doesn't seem to be there. Well, look, yes, 3 games, but. That's all we've got to work on. Well, the thing is, everyone also point to the fact that it's only Bournemouth, with respect to them. But last season, you lost to Palace. Last season, you lost to Burnley. Last season, you lost to Brentford in the opening game. This is the kind of game you'd have dropped points in last season. Whereas when you look at the team now, there's cohesion, there's work rate, the basics are being done, and the attitude of the team is so unified. There is that cutting edge up front that I don't think you've had for many years, actually. Even though you've had the likes of Lacazette and Aubameyang, you align Jesus' work rate with his cutting edge in front of goal and his willingness to set up other players, and you have a real package there. And I think the only thing you would need to take the next step after you get into the top 4, assuming you do, would be more depth in those advanced areas. But this is a young team really benefiting from some joined-up thinking at the club. And just as a nod to the documentary that's out at the moment, it's so important because it contextualises where you are now, the difficulties emotionally, psychologically that the club have had, the big decisions that they've had to make. We saw Josh Kroenke come to the training ground and support the manager when us guys were judging him fairly harshly in the press. And also Edu Gaspar, we saw the whiteboard with all of the players they wanted to sign and the reasoning behind targeting those players. You see the method in the madness, if you like. And that's why I think the documentary is important for us to understand that this hasn't just happened overnight. It's been really, really hard work, but Arsenal are reaping the benefits. What's good about that as well, Dad, you make a great point about the documentary. The work that goes in, because we've seen, we spoke about Man United and we're seeing where Man United are now. Arsenal were in a similar position a few years ago. And so it has to start somewhere. And that is what is good to see, the way it had to start. We got a young managerial team around him, and they've put the work in to get to where Arsenal are now. It's not easy. And not just happening at the manager level, because so often we hear people asking for the manager to be given time, but it doesn't matter how much time you give the manager if the structure isn't there behind him.
I think they deserve a lot of credit, Mikel and Edu. You know, I just think the job that they've done, getting rid of a lot of players, personalities that didn't fit with the new concept. I think they've added winners in Zinchenko and Jesus. But I just think they deserve a lot of praise. They're playing good football. They have a great young manager. I think their scouting has been very good. And if you look at, they've got, you know, Martinelli and Ødegaard. Before, I mean, Saka was amazing. You're watching Saka, and he was like a one-man band. Him and Smith Rowe trying to carry that, an iconic, you know, Arsenal brand. And all of a sudden now you got Ødegaard, and then you got Martinelli. He's absolutely flying. Jesus is, you know, is a fabulous player. So you got all these weapons at Mikel's disposal, and I just think they're a threat. I mean, that is the blueprint. If I'm Man United, that's my blueprint right now. That's what we should build on. Young, exciting players. It's going to take a bit of time, but I think they probably should have been in the Champions League if you didn't fall out at the end of the season last year. But I think they're doing an amazing job, and Arsenal fans deserve it. You know, it's been a tough few years. And
there are parallels as well, because obviously with Man United there is a big decision to make over Ronaldo. Well, there was over Aubameyang, and the manager made it. And some people disagreed. And there was huge pressure because, as we know, and I said when I was on the show at the time, when you make a decision like that, you have to win. You have to achieve your objectives, and he didn't. And it was difficult for him, but the club stayed by him. Yeah. I think at United, Ronaldo, everyone feels that as good a player as he is, he should not be there if you're trying to build a team for the future. Arsenal wanted to build a team for the future, so they got rid of him and several other older senior players who perhaps were living on their past glories. Now this team is younger, more exciting, more vibrant, and you can see this team growing as a unit over the next 2-3 seasons.